Welcome to Bet On It, week 3 of the NFL. I am Kelly Stewart, joined by Marco D'Angelo and Gianni the Greek Gambler, two of my favorite guys. We're going to break down the NFL card every single which way, and we're going to start off with the primetime games. That's right. Starting off with Thursday night, Miami at Jacksonville. This line's kind of moved a little bit here, gentlemen. I'm going to start with Gianni. What are your thoughts on this Thursday night ugly game?
I actually bet this game, so it's official for me. And I'm just putting it out there because I rarely have time to check DMs, replies, and stuff like that. But I went to tweet, we're doing the show, whatever, and I saw someone has our records. And I saw like 0-2 on Sunday night and 0-2 on Thursday night. And I'm like, dude, I had the Rams on Sunday Night Football 2 weeks ago and won. Last week, I had Cleveland on 5 teasers, and we bet the over on Thursday Night Football. I took a little Cleveland at 5.5 when it dropped 10 minutes before game time. But I just want the people watching to actually know if we're actually betting it, what the information we're sharing. And again, if I'm not backing my own opinion with my money, I probably wouldn't urge you to, unless maybe I share a nugget that you're like, oh, wow, that helps me confirm my own opinion. Otherwise, I wouldn't piggyback my opinions, maybe piggyback my bets, but I wouldn't piggyback my opinions. Bottom line, I bet this game under. And for me, it was simple. It got steamed up from 44 up to 48, and that was expected. Primetime game. We've seen a ton of points scored. This is the betting markets getting out ahead of it. And I've gotten really good at being able to identify what these groups are doing and which way the market's actually moving and whether it's legit or not. And I knew that was as phony as a $3 bill as far as a legit move. So I was sitting back and saying, let me see how high it gets before I get involved. And what did I do? I went back and said, let me look at the last 10 regular season games for Jacksonville. Let me look at the last 10 regular season games for Miami. How high have the totals been for these teams? Well, guess what? The last 10 times Miami played a regular season game, they never had a total this high. The last 10 games Jacksonville played, I think once it went to 48. Other than that, you're talking low 40s. This is a much different number we're looking at, and it's based on nothing more than 2 weeks of football. I'm not going to break down X's and O's and talk about how Jacksonville's going with youth and how they did in the draft and how Miami's building and all that, because that's irrelevant. The bottom line is line value. That's how you win money, by placing good bets. And under 48 to me is a good bet. We're getting a great number, 4 points better than what they opened it at 44. I don't think the book, again, should go much higher than this. So I say get involved now. Why wait? It ain't going to 49. And I think there's a ton of value at that price. See a lot lower scoring game than that. I bet the under 48. I released it to subscribers. That's an official play.
Thank you, VR, for clarifying that. Guys, we are talking about games that most of us will not have any action on, but because people want to know, VR, you absolutely nailed it. Opinions are one thing, plays are another. We'll do a better job about solidifying, yes, I made a wager at X number. Marco, Thursday night, the Jaguars are now a 3-point favorite. That one's up from a pick'em. As VR stated, it opened 44, now 48. Do you have an opinion, or did you actually make a wager on this ugly-ass Thursday night game?
Well, it is an ugly-ass Thursday night game, Kelly, and I have an opinion. And just for the viewers, two things I want to say to you guys. The TV plays, we don't have a choice. We're bringing you all the TV games, so understand that, and we'll try to be more, how much we like it. But, of course, game time information, day of the game, what we release to clients and such is always going to be the best. Now, the other plays that we do, obviously, yes, our best bets, our teasers, our barking dogs, those are plays that we have isolated. We picked them. We're not forced to pick a TV game. And that's the beauty of betting. The books have to put every game on the board. We don't have to bet every game. Remember that. Now, for this game, one thing I want to say and piggyback what VR said about the totals. Right now, Vegas is getting slaughtered on the overs. Everybody in the world is betting overs because they're scoring it at unseen rate so far after 2 games. Well, the reason for that is we didn't have preseason games, all right? If you're watching the games, where the points are coming from is I've never seen a season with so many yards after the catch. People are not tackling right. They didn't have preseason games to get it underway. You didn't have a lot of hard practices. Remember, the NFL bargaining agreement, you can only have X number of practices in pads and everything else. So we're getting these guys into game shape on the fly. These totals will reverse themselves. Trust me on that. Vegas is going to keep raising them until they slow down the bettors. But then once the games start coming back to normal scores, you're going to have a ton of value on the unders. So I don't disagree with anything that VR said on this one. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the Miami side for my opinion in this game. We're looking at pick your poison. Do you want to jump on the Minshew mania, or do you want Fitzpatrick or Fitzmagic? I'm going to go with Miami. They were good to me last week as the barking dog. And in this one here, everybody is going to look and see the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're 1-1. They very easily could have been 2-0. They took Tennessee to the limit last week, where Miami, although they covered against Buffalo, they had to come from behind to do it, and they did it in the fourth quarter, trading points with Buffalo. A little point of we said about, fatigue in the fourth quarter in that Miami Heat, that's when they got the job done. I just feel short week, two teams. Now, it's not a division game, and that's generally an advantage to the road team. It's less of a disadvantage playing on a short week on the road when you're a division opponent because you already know your opponent, where here it's not a division game. So that does give Jacksonville a slight edge. But do you really want to lay points with this Jacksonville defense right now? Indianapolis went up and down the field on them in week one. Granted, Minshew was 19-20 in that week one upset, but he didn't have any yards. They were all dink and dunk passes. Last week, the Indianapolis went up and down the field against Minnesota. We saw how good they were. They did the same thing to Jacksonville the week before. And last week, Tennessee went up and down the field as well. I'll go ahead and go with Miami plus the points here. You got to pick your poison. I'll take the points. Two bad teams. Give me the points.
All right, the Sunday night game is going to be interesting. The Packers now a 3-point dog to the Saints. Total sticked up about half a point from opening at 52.5. VR, I'm going to go to you first because I know you're going to keep this one short and sweet. Talk to me about the Sunday night primetime game.
Yeah, and real quick, just on that note, because Marco touched on it about us having to do primetime games. And again, this is not making an excuse if we lose or anything like that. Because I always say it, you could have your own opinions, whether we're sharp, not sharp, you like us, you don't like us, but you can't have your own facts. And the bottom line is numbers don't lie. At the end of the day, you're either up long-term or you're not long-term. And hopefully you're listening and learning and sharpening your skills because you believe those numbers that we win long-term. Getting to this game, listen, the way Green Bay's looked, I'm not going to give you the pick here because this is actually a best bet for me. I rarely use the primetime game as a best bet on the show because I want to share as much info as possible. But I just like this game so much, I wanted to make sure I stress it as a best bet so I won't waste no more time. What I will say is this. Green Bay has looked as good as any team can possibly look, averaging 500 yards per game, number one in all kind of offensive categories, rushing yards, points scored, just everything going right. And as my good friend Mark always says, no team's ever as good or as bad as they look. Again, we'll get back to my best bet soon enough, but just throwing that out there. And the one thing I'll tell you about this game, books will need the under. I'm surprised this total isn't higher. I'm surprised it's not already moving. But rest assured, there will be tons of over money on this one. If you like the over, you probably shouldn't wait. I could see a ticket count of 9-1 in that favor at least.
Marco, this is really interesting. I don't want to call them a square dog on a Wednesday, but the Packers +3 getting 81% of the tickets right out of the gate. Talk to me about Sunday Night Football.
Well, Kelly, pure and simple, the Sunday night game, this is the public perception game of the week. And this is a play that I will probably be involved in come Sunday. The Saints, right now, their stock is down. And the Green Bay Packers, their stock can't be any higher. As Gianni said, you look at their first two games, 42 and 43 points. Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the talk for MVP, although Russell Wilson's going to have a lot to say about that if they keep the reins off of him. You might want to sneak in a little Russell Wilson for MVP while the price is still decent. This game, though, if you look at good as Rodgers has been, what's really fueled this offense is the Green Bay running game. This running game has been potent the first 2 weeks of the season, and it sets up, and we talk about it all the time. A good running game is going to make an average quarterback good and a good quarterback great. Well, we know Aaron Rodgers, how good he is, and you give him a running game now, that makes him dangerous. But nobody's going to want the Saints here. They looked at that Monday night game. They saw the Raiders dominate the game. The score might not say it was a total domination, but you look at time of possession, the Saints couldn't get off the field on Monday night, and that's something the Raiders never do. I think this is a big game Sunday night. I wish we would have the normal crowd that you would have because Rodgers has had problems in the past in domes. I got it. I'm going to go with the Saints. You're getting a bargain on the price at 3. This game didn't look back at what the look-ahead lines were back in the summer, but I guarantee you the Saints were a bigger favorite.
Yes, they were. -6 is what I'm seeing that the Saints were prior to that loss on Monday night. Speaking of Monday night, I know you guys are going to wonder where the Monday night primetime game is. That's right. We're going to bring you a Bet On It special every single Monday, live 11 a.m. Pacific for all of your Monday night needs. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we return, we're going to go inside the numbers. Football is here, and the Gold Sheet, the nation's oldest sports betting newsletter, is back for its 63rd year, bigger and better than ever. Gold Sheet has a new, improved web-based, mobile-friendly format that includes all of the winning information you rely on with the easiest access ever. While the format is new, all of the features you are accustomed to are still there. That's right, analysis on every pro and college game, key release selections, updated power ratings on every team, point spread logs for all NFL and college teams, and all college football games through May 2021 will be included. To celebrate joining the Wager Talk family, we are offering our subscribers our best deal ever. Sign up for a season of any Gold Sheet product and get $200 in Wager Bucks as a bonus. Wager Bucks can be used to purchase handicapping information from any of our 40-plus experts on Wager Talk or sportsmemo.com. Head to goldsheet.com/WagerTalk for any subscription and bonus details.
Every Monday at wagertalk.com, all plays are just $9. This even includes top-rated 5% plays, which normally sell for $40. There's no better day to get winning picks than $9 Mondays at wagertalk.com and our sister site, sportsmemo.com.
Welcome back to Bet On It. This is the inside the look-ahead lines from our friends over at the Westgate, the Superbook at SuperbookNV on Twitter. These guys do what we call a 12-day number. That means that the games haven't even been played yet, but they have the lines out. For example, we already have the lines out for week 4. We're going to look and see maybe if there's a little overreaction to what happened in week 2. Marco, I'm going to start with you. Houston at Pittsburgh. Houston falls flat on their face at home to the Baltimore Ravens. Pittsburgh doesn't get the cover, but gets the win over the Denver Broncos and Jeff Driscoll. Pittsburgh opened -6. Now it's down to 3.5, 4 in some spots. This one's really interesting. I don't know if I can back Bill O'Brien on the road.
Well, Kelly, Bill O'Brien let us all down last week, and Bill O'Brien did what Bill O'Brien does best and managed to screw things up. But for the life of me, I know the Pittsburgh Steelers inside and out. I do not understand this move. There are no new injuries to report with the Steelers. You still have the 2 offensive linemen that are out, that have been out. I just don't know why they're moving it. And it's not like Houston looked good in defeat. They had moments in the game, but still, they got steamrolled by Baltimore. And it steamrolled early when Bill O'Brien gambled and, went for it on 4th down deep in his own territory in a 3-0 game. Why? Why, Bill? No, this was not justified.
Why does he punt with 2 minutes left when he could have had a potential to have a backdoor cover? Listen, I don't know what he's doing, and I know, unfortunately, he's not going anywhere because he is the GM unless all of a sudden the owner decides he's fired. but this game perplexes me as well. If you have to pick, which side are you going with?
Right now, I'm not on a side, but I can tell you that this line is not warranted for it to come down. People are overreacting to the Denver game last week. Remember, Pittsburgh had short week just as Denver did, and it was a second week back for Big Ben, who actually made some really nice throws last week. He's not showing any signs of it, but your Denver team got the old backdoor cover for you.
They did get the backdoor cover. Juju did not do a whole lot for my fantasy team. I do have my concerns with Big Ben's number one weapon going into this week. VR, the San Francisco 49ers, speaking of injury, wow, they are just banged up. They're headed, well, they don't have to head anywhere because they stayed in Ohio for the week, but they're playing the New York Giants in the same stadium they did last week. They opened a 6.5-point favorite, now down to 4. This is a little interesting to me. Are we overreacting to the San Francisco injuries? Are we giving the Giants too much credit? Have you seen anybody in your accounts bet the New York Giants or San Francisco 49ers?
Yeah, right now I could tell you with certainty the New York Giants is sharp money. Is it warranted? I think so. I mean, listen, San Francisco is supposed to be 2-0 right now. They were touchdown favorites in both their games, but that's not the case. In fact, they even lost that game at home. That's why they're 1-1. On the flip side, the New York Giants, where they're supposed to be, they were 6-point dogs to Pittsburgh. They lost the opener. Then they had to travel on the road where they were 5-point dogs to Chicago. No surprise they're 0-2. They haven't really underperformed market expectations. In fact, they covered last week. So I understand why the sharp move on the Giants. I don't disagree with it either. And I can also tell you with certainty, the over is the sharp side. I'm not telling you it's going to win. But what I am telling you is that under move from 42.5 down to 49 was dummied. It was simply dummied down to go over 41. There's still some 41s out there, but I can promise you, I'm pretty confident. I can't promise you, but from what I know and the text I got about 45 minutes ago, the 41s will no longer be there probably by the time this airs. Over 41's the right side as far as the sharp side. And I agree with the Giants home dogs. I mean, I didn't bet it. I haven't bet the over either, but I think both sides are sharp.
All right, Marco, the Titans eked out a win at Mile High, and then they got taken to the wire by Gardner Minshew and the Jags last week. Minnesota, God, what is going on with this Minnesota Vikings team? It breaks my heart. But Tennessee opened to pick them. Now they are a 2.5-point road favorite. This is the same spot we saw them in at Denver where they didn't get the cover. I think this one's going to get bet up even higher. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 3 by kick. What are your thoughts here with Coach Zimmer and the Purple People Eaters?
Is it true, Kelly, that Coach Zimmer came home from last week and found his bags out in the front yard? You said you had enough. You don't cover. He's now 1-5 his last 6. You showed him the door. Hey, this is an overreaction. Tennessee, granted, Minnesota looked bad. They looked as bad as they could be. And I was quite pleased with it, as Indianapolis was my best bet last week. But what did Tennessee do? They were life and death with Jacksonville. Wasn't this the same Jacksonville team that was tanking this year? Come on. How can you make this big of an adjustment on this game? No, it's an overreaction. It's not justified. And my God, though, Kirk Cousins, he is pitiful.
It has been pretty pitiful, Marco. I have to agree with you. All right, VR, Washington at Cleveland. Cleveland gets backdoored by Cincinnati on Thursday night. The Washington Redskins, everybody loved when they beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Everybody jumped on the bandwagon, and they got absolutely smoked by the Arizona Cardinals. Cleveland opened a 5.5-point favorite, now up to 7. I don't know if I trust this Browns team to lay 7 just yet.
Yeah, especially with a low total, pretty much 45. But I can tell you the Cleveland Browns move is steam. Bet 4.5, 5.5, and 6.5. So there were multiple groups that thought Cleveland was the side. I didn't bet it. I'm actually waiting to use Cleveland in teasers. I think there's more value there now that especially the sharpest shops offshore have even gone as high as 7.5 or 7 plus 7 with laying 20 to get the 7. So it tells me most will probably get the 7.5. And I think that's where the 6-point teaser comes into play, as we explained last week. So I agree with the sharp side on Cleveland at 4.5 and 5.5, but now it's 7.5. I think teaser's the way to play it, unless you like Washington.
That makes sense to me. All right, Marco, the New York Jets at the Indianapolis Colts. Holy hell. I was on the Vikings early last week. I trusted you with your best bet with the Colts. I bought off, laid Colts money line, hoped that I could hit a nice middle. Kirk Cousins couldn't get it done. But I wasn't still that impressed with Phillip Rivers. Not enough to lay 7. Indianapolis opened 7. Now they're an 11-point favorite. Listen, I have a terrible, I can't even get the words out, a terrible taste in my mouth trying to back Adam Gase. There's no way I can do it. But who's laying 11 points with the Colts here?
Well, it won't be me, Kelly. This is a total overreaction to, again, 1 week. And I say 1 week because if you remember last week, we were talking about the line, moving on Indianapolis last week. People overreact to them losing to Jacksonville. Now, after 1 week, because they smoked Minnesota, they're the darling, and you move this line this many points. Yeah, the Jets got steamrolled last week, but they caught a very angry 49er team that got upset at home. I can't lay 11 points with Phillip Rivers, and this is one of those games where finally the Colts should just run, and get off the field. And if you're playing just, to win, not to lose, that's tough when you're laying 11 points. Not warranted. This is an overreaction from 1 week.
All right, VR, we spoke about Arizona. Quietly 2-0, not really. They came out with a vengeance against the 49ers and then the Redskins. This is the game that ended in a tie last year because the Detroit Lions did what the Detroit Lions do. Arizona opened a 3.5-point favorite, now up to 6. Tell me your thoughts. Have you seen any steam plays or sharp moves on this Arizona game?
Yeah, I know for certainty, guys were going to get out ahead of the market on Arizona. That was expected. I don't consider that a legit move. I do consider more of a legit move on what's coming, and that this 6 will no longer be there. Detroit will get steamed at +6. There are sharp guys that like it. The problem with that pick is that you're going to get some public money as well. And here's why, real quickly, because I keep hearing this all over gambling social media. Teams that are 0-2 against the spread over the last 4 seasons are 22-7 in that third game. You know what how much statistical significance that has? The same amount as a capper that is down for the year, down lifetime, and he's telling you, I'm 22-7 my last 29, and I got a lock for you on Sunday. And you should go out there and buy that 30th pick because it means something. It means nothing. 22-7 is nothing. If you don't think the most efficient market on the planet, the NFL betting market, will correct itself, you're sadly mistaken. Now, it may not come this year, and these 0-2 teams may go 7-1 or whatever, what have you. But that little stat trend has zero statistical significance and should not be a reason anyone is betting a team because they're 0-2 against the spread. If that's the reason, again, that's why I'm not taking Detroit, because they're one of those teams that are on that 0-2 list that I keep hearing about. And I'm afraid they're not getting as many points as they should because of that. But I do know some sharp guys that are going to take the 6 with Detroit.
I am going to make you go back on that 0-2. So my buddy Joe from OddsShark tweeted this out. And I thought it was really interesting because I do think that there is an overreaction to 0-2 ATS teams week 3. That's the Colts, the Browns, the Titans, the Texans, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Lions, the Vikings, and the Panthers. So you think that's too small of a sample size? I'm not saying to bet these teams. I'm not going to blindly bet these teams. If I already like the side, it doesn't give you that extra nudge.
Here's why I think it's a small sample size, because it's over 4 seasons. So you're talking 27 games a year. 7 games, 7 teams a year. It's not big, but more importantly, it's go back further. Now tell me how they did over the last 100. You know what I mean? If you got to stop at 29, why are we stopping at 29? Why don't you tell me what they did up till 40 or up till 45? You know what I mean? That's where I have problem with trends. You're giving me the last 4 years, but why is that 5th year doesn't it support the narrative, or that 6th year, or that 7th? Is that why we're not covering those numbers?
I feel like that's just
where I have
data
problem
and-
with trends.
No, you're absolutely right. I think that's just data and news in general. We take what we want and we force it to fit
we
our
all
narrative.
do that. I do that all the time. Of course, it's confirmation bias. We want data and stats and trends that support our opinions. The goal is to try to cut that bias out of your equation. And it's hard. I mean, I fall victim to it all the time. I admit it.
I'm looking at this list. I don't want to back the Jets. We just talked about it. I don't really want to back the Texans. I don't really want to back the Eagles.
There's some bad teams. And no, it makes sense on that, Mark. And again, not to go long on this segment, but I do think it's important enough to talk about because I do think it has some merit. Meaning if a team's 0-2 against the spread, they haven't looked good. A lot of conclusions have been drawn. They're probably going to be undervalued in the market. So you do want to take a look at them. I get that part. That makes total sense. But as far as a trend following it for that reason, because it's 22-7 over the last 4 years, that to me is irrelevant because I want to know 5th year, 6th year, 10th year. The 0-2 part's great. I don't need to know the numbers backing that 0-2. The reasoning on why a team 0-2 may be undervalued is enough for me. I don't need the data to support it because the reasoning is sound. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. All right, Marco, I'm going to kick it to you. Tampa Bay at Denver. Tom Brady and the Bucs kind of got a backdoor cover themselves. I think the Panthers try to sneak in there and get that cover. Late touchdown by Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay now a 6-point favorite up from 3.5. Now, I'm kind of shocked to see it move this much. As you and I just spoke about, Denver did get the backdoor cover with Jeff Driscoll. We know Drew Lock is out. The Broncos just signed Blake Bortles. I don't see him being the starter this week. And I even tweeted out, hey, I think that Jeff Driscoll is more of a journeyman quarterback I'd rather have in there over Drew Lock. Your thoughts on this Sunday afternoon game?
Hey, Driscoll played well last week. He led them, back in that game against the Steelers, and we're talking about one of the best defenses in the NFL. This is a total overreaction. You're trying to tell me, based off of last week, going into last week, this line was 3.5. Tampa gets a win and cover over Carolina. They were supposed to. They were a big favorite. And Denver gets a loss but a cover, and they lose their starting quarterback. So the only thing different, they didn't embarrass themselves. They, outperformed the point spread by getting the cover. So you're trying to tell me that Drew Lock is worth 2.5 points. No, hell no.
Absolutely not.
I'm sorry. Okay, how many starts does he have? All right, so this is an overreaction, and it's the Tom Brady factor. Yeah, he looked good last week. They got a win, but they were going against one of the worst defenses in the NFL against Carolina. Come on, people. Kelly, I'm pretty sure I know somewhere on your card on Sunday there's going to be a home dog that says Denver, but, and I think you're getting the best of it.
Geez, Marco, if you just don't know me so well at this point in time. All right, we are last but not least. Dallas at Seattle. Seattle opened a 3.5-point favorite after getting that win over the Patriots on Sunday night. Now a 4.5-point favorite. I know you're really high on Dallas this year. I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, I think it's an overreaction. I mean, listen, most believe Dallas should be 0-2. They came back on an Atlanta team that we saw happen again, like it happened against New England. No surprise there. So again, no one's high on Dallas, where Seattle, we just watched them on prime time dismantle the New England Patriots. They covered the spread, but more importantly, they were up 2 touchdowns with 2 minutes left, pretty much not in jeopardy. So I think it's a little overreaction. I think it's the books having to protect themselves for all that Seattle money coming.
I like it. I'm with you here. I think the Cowboys look like the play. Let's move into the teaser segment, guys. I got to keep this one really quick because I let everybody run a little bit long. I probably shouldn't have talked as much as I did. Marco, I'm going to go to you first. Tell me who your teaser is for NFL Week 3.
All right, this one's easy for me. The first half of it is the Cleveland Browns. This is a spot for Cleveland. We're teasing them down. They only have to win the game. And they're catching a Washington team. It's going to be on the road for the second week in a row. And they got torched in Arizona last week. They're going to get more of the same here. The second half, Kelly, you're probably not going to like it, but I'm letting, Zimmer came, knocked on my door. He said he had nowhere to stay. You kicked him out. I said, come on in. It's okay. We'll get things straightened out this week. I'll talk to Kelly. We'll get you at least back on the couch. All right. Minnesota, 2.5. You're teasing them up over a touchdown. I'm not taking this Tennessee defense to run away and hide from anybody. Give me Minnesota plus 8.5.
You crack me up. You're right. My love affair with Coach Zimmer is quickly going up in flames. VR, who is your teaser for NFL Week 3?
Yeah, and as we touched on last week, we only use a teaser to tease numbers. We don't tease teams. So for me this week, it's pretty simple. We're teasing the Cleveland Browns because they're at a touchdown, so we're bringing them down to -1. And we're also going to tease the New England Patriots, who are at 6, down to a pick 'em. That one's a little iffy because it has a really high total, and obviously the variance makes the points worth a lot less each point. But because I lean Carolina, the Chargers were the other one I was looking at with a lower total, but we'll go New England, Cleveland.
All right, guys, we're going to step out for a quick commercial break. We're going to be back with VR's Steam game. And is the deli open, or does Marco have a trap game for us? And, of course, Stat Daddy himself, Mr. Ralph Michaels, with some TNA. Did you know every Tuesday is $2 Tuesday at WagerTalk.com? We pick the hottest handicapper and offer his best bet for just $2. This is a great way to introduce yourself to the winning handicappers at WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com.
$25 in wager bucks added to your account after your first purchase at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. This is just our way of saying thank you for joining the WagerTalk and SportsMemo family.
Welcome back to Bet On It. All right, VR, it is that time. It is time for your Steam game of the week.
All right, and we're going to go with a total this week. And first, it jumped right out at me, especially because it's another over-under that got a little dummied up, bet up as soon as that line came out, which was expected. And that's Las Vegas against New England. Why? You saw how good Las Vegas looked on Monday night, at least offensively. It looks like they could score on pretty much anyone, putting up, 30-plus points back-to-back weeks, 34-34. And then on the flip side, we saw the New England Patriots put up 30 as well, even though 7 of that came in junk time. And because of that, the number went up a little bit. And as soon as it reached that 49.5, that's where the legit move came in, and multiple groups pounded that under. I got involved at under 48.5 and 48 myself. I still see 48s on the boards, mostly 47.5. Still think there's enough value there. Listen, the Raiders defense will be improved. Obviously, without having the preseason, without having spring practices like usual, it's going to take a little while because you got so many new faces. But I touched on it on our Monday Night Football segment. They went from spending the least amount of money in 2017 and 18 to spending the 14th most amount of money this past offseason on their defense. So it will improve. And we already know New England is now defensively sound. At least that's how they need to win football games. Give me the under 47.5, 48, what have you. I don't think this one cracks 44.
All right, I like it. I'm writing that one down. All right, Marco, I'm not part of the health department, but Bill O'Brien pretty much single-handedly shut down your deli last week. So I'm really hoping you have a trap game for us for NFL Week 3.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien came in and with those putrid play calls of his, got me shut down again from the health department. And like the great episode of Seinfeld, no soup for you, Bill. Don't come in. You're done. Okay. So the deli's closed because we got to disinfect everything and get everything clean to pass inspection for next week. So we're going to come with a trap game for you this week, guys. And we're looking at the Buffalo Bills. The LA Rams come to town. Now, right now, LA Rams, everybody's jumping back on the bandwagon. This is the team, everybody's saying, oh, they're just like the team, 2 years ago that went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Patriots and all of that. Well, okay, let's not just slow your roll down a little bit, guys. It's 2 weeks, and they played 2 pitiful defenses the first 2 weeks of the season. And even last week, when they end up pulling away again in the second half, there was a point in that game in the third quarter when Philadelphia had the ball inside the 10-yard line, about to take the lead, and Carson Wentz throws an interception in the end zone, totally changes that game. Now, here's what I'm looking at. There's two teams that are playing back-to-back games on the East Coast that are West Coast teams. One of them elected to stay on the East Coast, the other didn't. And we've seen from past history, the teams that do stay perform much better than the teams that travel back and forth on back-to-back weeks. And the Buffalo Bills, everybody's going to overreact to they barely got by Miami. Maybe they're not as good as we thought they were. You know what? They had a lead on Miami. I had Miami as my barking dog, and we came barking late and got the cover. It was one of those things that I said, watch Buffalo. That defense is going to wear out in the second half, and they did. Yeah, the heat. I got a lot of heat from our YouTube channel, Kelly, about that pick on Miami last week, but they don't seem to come back after the game for some reason.
People always like
you're
to
right.
get during halftime, the first quarter in particular. I get you, Marco. You were fine. Not once did I text you any expletives about your Miami pick. As a matter of fact, your Miami pick saved my ass on the bloodbath that was Sunday. So thank you, Marco. I know you don't get thanked enough.
Yeah, this is one, though. The Buffalo Bills, they have a good defense, and they will bring the heat on Jared Goff this week. We know Goff, when he's pressured, is not the same quarterback, and they've had no pressure at all the first two games facing those Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Different story this week, and it's an NFC team on the road against an AFC team. We talk about this all the time. That is the least important game on a team's schedule over the course of the season when it comes to tiebreakers and everything else. Your home games are the most important. Your division games are the second most important, and then conference games. This is a bad spot for the Rams, back-to-back road games. Don't fall into the trap of the Rams. They're not that good of a 2-0 team. Take the Buffalo Bills.
All right, Marco, appreciate you and VR's insight on the steam and trap segment. Now it is time to bring in my favorite guy, Mr. Ralph Michaels. All right, my favorite guy, Ralph Michaels, with some TNA. Ralph, you sent me some email while I was doing the first part of Bet on It. What is with all these 44s?
Let me ask you this question, Cal. Who's the most famous 44 do you know? Reggie Jackson, Jerry West? You got any that pop off the top of your head?
I'm trying to think of like who was 44 for K-State when I was a kid. Mark Semino is coming to mind, but I feel like that's wrong. I'm trying to think of a Broncos player that was 44. You're asking me a lot of really hard questions this morning, Ralph.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm going to throw out the Syracuse guys of Brown, Ernie Davis, and Floyd Little, of course, all wore 44. But real, Cal, the reason I'm mentioning 44 is the special scrolling on the bottom of the screen. 2 months, $189 a month, works out to $378. I think sometimes when we look at a package for its entire length, people don't break it down and realize what a good deal it is. We know that a top-rated 5% play sells for $40. If you take advantage and buy this 60-day all-access package for $378, that breaks down to $44 a week. You're getting 8.6 weeks in a 60-day period, and you're paying $44 a week. It's the lowest price we've ever had. It almost breaks down to the entire price if you buy the season for $19.50, breaking it down week by week. So just take advantage. Again, the lowest price we've ever had is $189 for 1 month. If you buy that 2-month package, you are paying just $44 a week.
All right, Ralph, great stuff. Now it's time for my favorite segment, some TNA. You've got some quick hitters for us. I'm excited to see what you've dug up for NFL Week 3.
0-2 teams. We know they're desperate. We know they normally don't make the playoffs.
This is just
but if you
straight
blindly
up, real quick, 0-2 teams, like 0 wins, or 0-2 ATS as well?
0-2 just straight up.
Okay.
Just so you're looking at an 0-2 straight up team. This is something you're going to like, Kel. 0-2 team since 2014, 22-23 straight up with an average line of plus 3.1, 29-16, 64.4% against the spread.
I do like that one. This is a segment earlier on Bet On It where VR said, don't buy into too much of the small sample size. Can you elaborate just a little bit on that?
Well, you're looking at 2014 was a change in philosophy when they went, when the extra points got moved back in 2015. So to me, I think there is enough sample size. There's 45 games. We're talking about 5 seasons. I have one more subset, which does make it a smaller sample size. But when you negate the 0-2 versus 0-2 games, like Philadelphia and Cincinnati this week, so an 0-2 team straight up against a team that has 1 or 2 wins, and if they're a dog of 3.5 or more, those teams have gone 15-4, 79% against the spread. That goes back since 2014. So 0-2 teams, 64% against the spread. 0-2 teams against a team that at least has 1 win, and they're a dog of 3.5 or more, 15-4, 79%.
And those games this week are?
I didn't write down the 0-2 teams. I figured that's easy enough for everyone to find as they're going through the list. So, that's not one. The 0-2 game I talked about, there's only one this week, Cincinnati and Philly. Again, not a huge sample size. Going back all the way to 2005, there have only been 16 of them, but they have gone 11-5 to the over 69%. And if the total is 46 or less, like this game is, they've gone over 79%, 11 of the 14 games. So not a sample size, but it does make sense to me because when you're 0-2, you are desperate. Perhaps you do start throwing downfield a little bit more. We know 0-3 teams don't make it historically to the playoffs. So 0-2 teams have gone over to the tune of 69%. Now, let's look at home and aways. I wanted to look at week 3 home and aways. Week 1, we're going to throw out. You have plenty of rest to get into week 1. We didn't have preseason games. You didn't have that first game under your belt where your body felt it. So how about this? Week 3, you were home week 2, and now you're home week 3. You're playing an opponent that was on the road week 2, and obviously they're on the road week 3. Those teams, 27-10 straight up, 24-13, 65% against the spread. And if I take home and home versus away and away, same situation, but I take a small dog of a 1 point all the way to -10. So you're in that single-digit favorites role. Those home teams, 21-6 ATS, 78%. Cleveland, Chargers, Philadelphia, and Arizona all fall into that 78% ATS mark. Teams week 3 home for a second straight game against teams on the road for a second straight game. Your thoughts, Kel?
I'm looking at these. I had to look it up for myself. I couldn't wait till after the show. My thoughts on these, the plan on spots 15-4 against the spread is what I was just looking at while you were going over. I think you're right, Ralph. Listen, my thoughts are this. I think these sample sizes are small enough that you don't want to make a play based on it solely. But if you already like the side, these little extra trends and angles just give you that little nudge that say, you know what? That's exactly what you need to do. You need to play this spot for this reason.
Let's talk about a couple bad offenses. Week 3, teams that lost failed to reach 300 yards in week 1. Teams that lost game 2 failed to reach 300 yards. There are 2 of them. They both happened to play in the same stadium, the New York Jets and the New York Giants. I'm going all the way back to 1989, Kelly. Database only goes back 32 years. Those teams that are 0-2 that failed to reach 300 yards their first 2 games, 54% against the spread, 8-1 ATS since 2000. So 54% not bad. What happens if I say now those teams are a dog? That 54% mark now goes to 32 and 25 ATS, 56%. Now what if I say, how about a home dog, like the New York Giants are? Those teams, 65% against the spread and 7-1 ATS since 2011. So recently they've done much better than historical, but even though it's only a 56, to a 65% system, to me it works perfectly because we're looking at it overall, 54%. We're making them a dog getting points, 56%. We're making them a home dog, 65% play. That is on the Giants, of course. No injury bigger than Barkley being out, so we'll see how they adjust. I have two more for you.
How do you think they will do? Question, how do you think they're going to do with Devonta Freeman, new running back into that system, trying to fill in week one? I know that's not an easy system to learn right out of the gate. Does that mean you think the Giants are going to be throwing the ball downfield more?
I downgraded him 2 points. And I don't think I've ever downgraded anyone in the NFL 2 points besides a quarterback being out. You're missing a quarterback. He could be worth 7 points depending on what team and who the backup is and what the situation is. But so for me to downgrade the Giants 2 points for Barkley is a big deal. But I also know this. Going back years and years and decades, there certainly is a mentality a team plays when their star player gets hurt, an injury type system that your quarterback gets hurt, everyone rises to the occasion. Your top player gets hurt, everyone rises to the occasion. It's usually only a 1-game bounce back, but it's enough to keep me off not to play against the Giants. If they play well, I'll be happy to fade them again next week, but again, you watch how a team responds when their injured star is out and they know they're going to be out for a period of time. I think the Giants players come to play this week and keep that game close.
I got to agree with you there, Ralph. And I also picked up Devonta Freeman on my fantasy team, so I had to ask for personal reasons. All right, what else do you have left for us for TNA?
Last two, Cal, just very small sample sizes, but at least we know what happens in those situations. First, week 3. You won as a dog week 1. You won as a dog week 2. Now, this applies to the Rams, and there's going to be a lot of you that say, the Rams were a favorite, and then they were a dog, or they were a dog and they're a favorite, because both of their games against Dallas on Sunday night and against Philadelphia went through the 0. They were a favorite at one time. They were a dog at one time. If you can see in each of those two games, there have only been 12 teams since 2004 that has won as a dog each of the first 2 weeks. Those teams have gone 9-3 straight up, 9-2-1 ATS, and 9-3 to the over. And Kelly, anytime I'm looking at one side of the spectrum, I have to flip it over and look at the other. So if we're looking at what teams won as a dog weeks 1 and 2, we have to look at which teams lost as a favorite games 1 and 2. Since 1995, so we're going back 26 years, only 14 teams in the NFL have lost as a favorite weeks 1 and 2. That, of course, Philadelphia. So those teams have gone 8-6 straight up, 8-5-1 ATS, 61.5%. Now, we're talking 25 years, only 14 samples. That, to me, is too small of a sample size stretched out over a period of time. But again, at least we know the history of what has happened with those teams in those unique situations.
Does that just mean that the Eagles are overvalued? I mean, because it doesn't happen that often. I mean, my niece was born in 1995. So when you said 1995, I'm going, we got a huge number here, yet we don't. So does that just mean the bookmakers were off on the Eagles, or the Eagles have underperformed? Your thoughts on that trend?
Well, we know the Eagles are as banged up as anyone. The O-line issues and the skilled players on the outside. They were leading. Let's not forget, they were leading Washington 17-0. Everything looked fine in Eagleville the first half of the first game. They've been outscored 64-19 since that point. And, now you're playing a Bengals team. I just tweeted this out earlier. Are you aware that the Bengals have lost 11 straight road games? I've never seen so much hype for a team that's 0-11 on the road, their last 11 road games. But in those 11 road games, although they haven't won any straight up, I think they are 8-3 ATS. One more note on the Eagles for those that think they're due and they're going to bounce back. The last 8 times the Eagles lost at home and they were a favorite the next game, not only are they 0-8 ATS, they're 0-8 straight up as a favorite. 8 straight losses as a favorite coming off a home loss, playing a home game the next week.
That is shocking. And you're right, Ralph. After last week, I got a great number on the Eagles. I got +1.5, +1. I was ahead of the market. And after last week, I'm not rushing to lay 6 with this Eagles team, no matter who they're playing. Great stuff from you. If you guys are not following Ralph at CalSportsLV on Twitter, I know the segment went a little long, but Ralph had tons of great info to give you guys, and I wanted to make sure all of you that tune in to bet on it got all of his stats and angles.
This Sunday, Marco is releasing his 5% NFL Game of the Month. Marco normally sells his rare 5% plays for $40. This week, he's offering all his Sunday NFL selections in one package, highlighted by his 5% NFL Game of the Month for just $39. Marco went 7-3 last Saturday and Sunday, and his rare 5% max plays are 4-1 the last 5. Don't miss the golden money-making opportunity and head over to wagertalk.com now to receive this special NFL Game of the Month package.
Want up-to-the-minute scores and odds direct from Las Vegas? Then check out our Wager Talk odds page. You'll get all the latest lines along with moves as they happen from all the biggest books in Las Vegas, including Westgate Superbook, Circa, Golden Nugget, Wynn, Stations, CG, and South Point, just to name a few. Best of all, it's absolutely free.
All right, we're starting the fourth quarter. That means it is time for the Barking Dogs. All right, VR, I'm going to let you go first. We've got some serious underdogs this week that are looking mighty tasty. Who do you like for a little sprinkle action?
Yeah, I have a handful of dogs, Kelly, that I really like. I'm going to give one now that I only want to be graded as a winner if it wins on the money line. If they don't win at +200, you chalk Ace up as a loss. I don't even care that they're getting 5 points. And that's the Dallas Cowboys over those Seattle Seahawks. You had your opportunity to get down on that Dallas Super Bowl future after week 1 when they lost that game. If they'd have went to 0-2 last week, I would have had to shred that future ticket, as we know how badly teams that start off 0-2 do. Rarely reach the postseason, but Dallas comes through, get new life, and now this is a team you got to be careful of. The momentum's on their side, and Seattle this is as big of an overreaction on the betting line as you're going to get. What this line shows you with Seattle up at now 5 is you're telling me if they were playing this game in Dallas, it would be a pick 'em. As it it doesn't even matter that even if they're playing in Dallas, to me that alone tells you this line's been inflated. There's absolutely no way that Seattle should go into Dallas as a favorite. I mean, that's just the Rams didn't. Nobody's going to do that this early on. And then you look at the Seattle side again. They playing great, especially offensively. But defensively, there's some liabilities there. And I think Dallas can exploit them. And as long as that Dallas defense takes another step forward, I know they've looked soft of late, letting up 20 to the Rams, 39 last week. This unit just needs time to gel. Dallas is loaded on paper. It will come out on the field, hopefully sooner rather than later. But again, 5 points, way too many. Line doesn't make sense, but I think they win this game outright. Give me Dallas +200 on the money line. Sprinkle that.
All right. I like it. Okay, Marco, yours is already moving. I'm watching the screen right now, so we better get to it. Marco, who is your barking dog for NFL Week 3?
Well, Kelly, I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears is my barking dog. And this is simple for me. First off, anytime I can get the better defense getting points, you're going to see Marco lining up to look at that underdog play. And obviously, when you look at these two defenses, there's no comparison at all. But I look at this this Atlanta team in that loss to Dallas last week. It was as ugly of a loss as you possibly could have. And a lot of times, Kelly, I'll be honest with you, I like to take that team that's coming off an ugly loss because nobody wants them. But I can't back Dan Quinn. He is making a serious run for the Bill O'Brien Award. This guy has been just a total he's clueless out there. And coming into the season, I'll admit, I was high on Atlanta. I thought the way they finished the season last year saved his job. They would carry that momentum over. But lost in last week's loss to the Cowboys was a play earlier in the game when Atlanta was rolling. I mean, rolling. They just scored a touchdown to go up 26-7. They were going to go up 27-7 with the extra point. But, oh, no. Dan Quinn sends the unit out to go for 2. You've got the lead. Why in God's world are you going for 2 to try to get it to 21 instead of kicking the extra point and getting it to 20? And, oh, by the way, Dan, could you use that point at the end of the game? What an idiot, okay? I'm sorry. I'm not going to pull punches. In those kind of decisions, in the way they started last year, this team can unravel quickly. And if things start to go bad, this could get ugly. I'll take Chicago. Mitchell Trubisky, I'm not a fan, but he's going against the defense that you can't stop anyone. I think they get their points. The defense wins the game. I'll call Chicago outright. I'll take the points, though, to get the grade, but you can go a little sprinkle as well.
I love you. You're like, listen, I'm not going to go out on the limb like
I'll take the win. I want the win.
I love it. Listen, I am all on board. You got to no guts, no glory. All right, guys, drum roll. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. It is time for our best bets. All right, guys, I'm going to go first, and that's because my best bet of the Eagles lost last week. Marco touched on it. He said Carson Wentz, that red zone interception, that'll be all she wrote. It is what it is. I got to keep on moving. Last year's best bets were absolutely excellent, and Marco kind of already gave away what my best bet was, and that's fine. This is the Denver Broncos. We know that this is just like when Marco bets honor against the Steelers. You have to pick your spots. This Denver Broncos team, no Drew Lock, insert Jeff Driscoll. We mentioned Blake Bortles did just get signed. He will not be playing. There is so many factors in play here that I really like. Not only the overreaction to the line move. I'm now getting 6 with the home dog in the high altitude. I know that there's not going to be any fans there, but Tom Brady does not play well at Mile High. We have the injured player theory coming into play here. That defense has really stepped up in key situations, and I think that they will again here on Sunday afternoon. Do not lay the road chalk with the Bucs because the Broncos are going to win this game outright. And yes, you're going to grade me if they cover, but I like that sprinkle. Little plus 235, I think, is what the consensus money line is. And listen, guys, this is a Denver Broncos team I will bet against day in and day out. So when I bet on them, know that that is a big play for me. VR, I'll let you have the floor for your best bet for NFL Week 3.
Yeah, I'm doing the Sunday night game. I've already bet it and released it to my subscribers, and that's the New Orleans Saints -3, -115. It's up to 3, -120 in a lot of places. That's the only reason it wasn't a 5% play. I don't like laying 20s, 25s on those big plays on when we're betting a -10 type sport. Otherwise, it would have. Plus, I have something a little bigger for Sunday. With that said, though, bottom line is this. Listen, we know with Green Bay, with their new head coach last season, they were going to play a little different. He was going to bring more of a running approach where we saw Green Bay prior to last season threw the ball more than any other team in the NFL. Last year, they were mid-pack. I mean, they ran the ball a lot, trying to do that again this year. Much more balanced attack. So far, so good. Now you're playing the Saints, who are coming off a loss. You're not going to have success running against them, so that's going to go down the drain. You look at the overreaction for them losing to the Raiders after taking a lead. Look at the penalties yards. They had over 110 yards in penalty yardage against the Saints. Everything went against them. And just power rating wise, I make this game, honestly, without no home field advantage, no anything. I make Saints minus 4.5, 5. And I get it. I talked about it on Monday. Home field advantage, we don't really have it anymore. Other than the travel, you don't have those edges that you did prior. But I still think at a field goal, this is just way too low. And it's just giving Green Bay way too much respect for their wins. Again, impressive in how they got it done, but again, they were 7-point touchdowns last week. They're supposed to win that game. And against Minnesota, we know how weak that defense is. They're not going to fix that anytime soon, giving up 500 plus yards to Green Bay that week. So again, I like the Saints. They're legit. They're arguably the best team in football. They're at the top still power rating wise. I'm not too sure anyone would put anyone favored over them on a neutral. Who? Maybe Baltimore, KC, by what? A half a point, a point? They're as powerful of a team as they come in the NFL. At home, -3, I'm all over them. Saints is my best bet.
VR, can you please speak to it really quickly because we do have a little bit of extra time here. So I'm looking, and I wanted to just lay the Saints on the money line here, -165 versus laying 120.
Much better bet. Yeah, I would do that,
so?
Kelly. If anything, here's what you could do.
More sense? Okay.
Yeah. Or I'm going to tell you even better. And I was going to do this. Wait till Sunday. Green Bay money is going to come in on the money line. So even if the Saints are 3 -25 or even 3.5, the money line won't reflect what it should. It's a primetime game. A lot of Green Bay actions expected, and a lot of casual bettors won't take the points if they could get plus 160, 170. And books like we see in the Super Bowl, where the favorite's never reflective of what the money line should be based on the point spread. I think you're going to have that Sunday night. I don't think you need the rush on taking Saints on the money line. I think you may even get better by waiting till Sunday.
All right, awesome. Marco, last but not least, I'm excited to hear your best bet. I like VR's best bet a lot. Maybe I got a nice little 3-team action here. Marco, who is your best bet for NFL Week 3?
Is this going to be like a hottie threesome? No, never could be a hottie threesome with me in it. I'm sorry. Okay, we're going to go to the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm going to play the card right away, injured player theory. And yes, there's a ton of injuries on this 49er team this week. I get it. I understand. What it's going to do is going to make this team, the rest of the team, focused. And just to talk about the injured player theory and why it's such a good angle is, guys, first of all, you get an overreaction to the line. Vegas knows everybody's going to jump to bet against the team with the injuries. So there's always an overreaction. Secondly, the team that's injured, the rest of the team takes it up a notch. They play at a higher level. You're going to get 110% effort from all the other players to compensate for the injured stars. And third and last but not least, maybe not in this case because they're 0-2, but the team that's playing the injured team sometimes has a little bit of a mental breakdown figuring, hey, we just caught a break. They are not without this guy and that guy, and they let up a little bit and don't properly prepare. I know Jimmy G right now, they haven't decided on the quarterback. They're listing it as undecided, but all indications are that Jimmy G is going to miss this game. And I don't have a problem with that because I think it's more of Shanahan's system than it is the quarterback. I don't think they'll miss a beat. Yes, they're going to be without the running back, but the 49ers are the deepest at that position in the NFL. They used 3 running backs all last year. It was by committee and whoever had the hot hand. And let's look at Daniel Jones. How is he going to be able to trade points if he has to with this 49er offense? Granted, he did face 2 tough defenses in back-to-back weeks in the Steelers and the Bears last week, so that's a little bit of an advantage for him. He's going to face a softer defense this week, but to me, even without Jimmy G, this is the better of the 3 teams offensively. I like the 49ers. This line is too low, and they stayed on the East Coast. This is big. They're playing in the same stadium that they did last week. They stayed on the East Coast, and our good friend Ralph Michaels, me and him have talked about this many times, and he points out that these teams that stay on the East Coast, It's a bonding experience with the team. They get together. There's nothing else to do. You're on the road for the whole week. You don't have your family. So what do? You hang out with your team. It really is a good thing. And the 49ers were the team that started this way back when DeBartolo would take them to Youngstown, Ohio. It was always a good move for them. I'll take it. I'm on the 49ers. Lay the points. We get hopefully as easy as last week's best bet.
Hopefully, we can all hope for easy winners just like that, Marco. All right, guys, we're going to step out for our last commercial break. When we return, we're going to wrap things up, put a nice, pretty bow on it for you guys.
This Saturday, Gianni will be releasing his first 5% play of the college football season. Gianni has released 23 plays, and he's cashed 61% of them. Gianni has increased his clients' bankrolls by over 150% in all sports combined in 2020. Get all of his Saturday college football plays, including the 5% big move, for only $39.
All right, guys, thanks for sticking with us on this beautiful Wednesday. We're going to wrap things up for you here. We're going to start off with VR. We got the Thursday primetime games. He gave out one of his special releases. That is the under 48. I'm already locked and loaded there. And then the Sunday night game, a rare primetime play from VR. He's all over the Saints, -3. But keep an eye out for that money line come kickoff. You might be able to find some better value there. The Steam play of the week is under 48 in the Raiders-Patriots game. VR's barking dog is the Dallas Cowboys. His teaser, Cleveland down to 0.5, New England down to 0.5, and his best bet is the New Orleans Saints, -115. Make sure you guys shop around there. And as for Marco D'Angelo, he's playing the underdog on Thursday night, Miami +3. He's in agreement on Sunday with VR with the New Orleans Saints -3. He's also got Cleveland in his teaser down to -1, and the Minnesota Vikings +8.5. I hope Coach Zimmer gets it together and comes through for you there, Marco. The deli is closed because Bill O'Brien stunk up the joint, but the trap game of the week is the Rams. So Marco says lay 2.5 with the Buffalo Bills. His barking dog is the Chicago Bears +3.5. This one's down to 3 in some spots. So again, guys, shop for the best number. And Marco's best bet is the San Francisco 49ers. Make sure you guys keep an eye on that one. This one, I think we will see some movement there as well. My best bet is the Denver Broncos +6. Don't forget to sprinkle on some of these money lines. We really hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show as much as we always enjoy doing it. Drop some comments, hit that like button from VR, Marco, Ralph, and myself. Good luck this week. I know I need it. And until next week, let's bet on it.